Okay, hello. Hello. I have to make sure this music's not too loud. I think it might be a bit loud. Hang on, let me turn it down more. Okay, how's that? My mic is turned up to the max. I think we're good. I think we're good. Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Hi, Penguin. Hi, Monster. Hello, everybody else. I still forgot that I need to get like the chat feed in my OBS right here so it can be on streams too. I completely forgot about that. Oh, that kind of sucks. but it's okay. It's okay. The music sounds fine. Thank you, Marty, for letting me know. And welcome to the stream. How are all of you guys doing today? Are you having a good day so far? Oof, it's thunderstorming over here. I hope it doesn't get in the way of our internet connection. That would be bad. I had a power outage go out during one of my Twitch streams not that long ago. And it was during one of my Civ playthroughs with Pengu and Faye. Yeah, my internet went out for like only a split second, but it messed the internet all up and separated that stream into 2 different streams. And I still have yet to put that one up on my VODs channel because it was separated. I have to go into my editing software and it's like, oh, I don't feel like doing that right now. And I need to do that soon though, maybe tomorrow if I don't have anything going on. Because I got another stream later today on Twitch after this one. So I'm gonna be on Twitch later today. Long time for the YouTube video, so it'll probably be tomorrow. Powercade stream, Kappa. Nope. Not a Powercade stream. Nope. This is Ruin Banner. This is Ruin Banner's channel. Did you not look at the channel that you came to watch? I bet you didn't look at it. I was worried I couldn't watch his battery dying, but luckily it's YouTube. I'll watch on TV. Okay, hey guys, I'm on TV. I'm on Henry's TV. Yeah, it's been a while since I've had a YouTube stream. And funny thing is I've actually entertained the idea of making this video for a while. I watched Legend of Korra not a long while ago, maybe a couple months ago at most. I watched it then because I'd seen a couple episodes of Korra like years ago when I was a kid, but I never actually sat down and fully watched it until a few months ago, and then I wanted to make a video talking about it because I would like to have more writing content on the channel and all that. But, I kept thinking like, oh yeah, review video, like my other review videos, because I've done some before. And the idea just did not seem entertaining to me at all. Like, I just did not want to. So then I had the idea, well, what if we just did a live stream talking about it? Review stream. Which is something I don't often see on YouTube. Maybe I'm just not in the right circles for it, but I usually only see, just normal review videos. So, the idea of doing a review stream feels very unique to me, and I'm excited to get into it. I just hope I'm able to remember all the points. Oh, and I wanted to address real quick that like, while I know we don't usually go into spoilers for my review videos, this one is gonna be different. In order for me to give my full opinion on Korra, I'm going to be going into my pros and cons for the series overall, for each individual season, and on the characters. And that'll be going into like specific plot points as well. So if you haven't seen Korra and you don't want to get spoiled, then I guess turn back now. I don't really like saying like, oh hey guys, get off my stream if you haven't seen this, because otherwise you're gonna get spoiled, so you better leave. I don't really like being like that, but I know Korra's been out for a long time, so I'm sure most people have seen it by now. I'm just real late to the party as well. But, yeah, just a disclaimer. Speaking of, I actually have Korra right down here with me. She's here today to talk about why her series was just okay. Hey there, Korra. Are you ready to talk about why your series was just okay? No, of course you're not, because I'm going to do all the talking. So yeah, I had Korra frozen in like cryospace or something, just just so I could have her here on the stream. So yeah, she's real upset about it. She's real angry about it. But we don't have to worry about her having any like little temper issues, little angry outburst here on the stream today. You're happy to finally catch a live stream. I'm so happy to have you here too. Yeah. See, like I'm a pretty active YouTuber, but I'm mostly active over on Twitch. And then my VODs channel has been pretty active too, because I just upload a lot of Twitch streams on there. So this is really the one place where it's like, yeah, content is a little few and far between, and I'd like to fix that. So I'm gonna be watching more stuff and reading more books, and we'll have more review streams like this in the future too. That's what I would like to do. Not early, she said 3 p.m. There's 2 streams today. Yeah. There's this one here at 3 p.m. and then I'm having another one at Twitch at 7 p.m. And that's EDT. Eastern Daylight Time. You never saw even the angle and you haven't fully. Oh, okay, well you're not gonna know what I'm talking about then. I hadn't watched Korra fully since I heard it wasn't too good, but I'm interested in hearing more. Good. Okay, yeah. Cause like I said, there's a lot of pros and cons that I have in regards to Korra. Some of it was really great, and then some of it was downright terrible, and some of it was just okay. Like, I'm a really big fan of Avatar. When I was a kid, when it was airing, I didn't really get to watch it. I didn't really watch a lot of live TV at the time, and I didn't really watch Avatar when it was airing. Of course, when I was a little kid, I also didn't know much about writing. So if I'd watched it back then, I probably wouldn't have appreciated just how great it was. It's like, you know, when you're a little older and you have more knowledge, you can look back at the show and think, wow, you know, well, Avatar may not be completely perfect, it's a pretty dang good show. And there's not many mistakes that Avatar had. Most of it is really great. It's one of the best shows I've ever watched, and it probably will forever be one of the best shows I've ever watched. Because I don't feel like we get too many shows that are as good as Last Airbender. Also, I have a water bottle here with me, so if my model starts having a seizure, it's because I'm drinking my water. You can tell when I drink water because my I start freaking out. She do be pretty. Yeah, Korra's a pretty... I like her aesthetic. She's a pretty character. I was gonna say, she's a pretty character. Just double the words. Yeah, the original Avatar was really great. So, like, when I watched it, when I finished it, I was so excited to get into Korra. It's like, I'd heard most people's opinions on it. Like, it wasn't the best. Some people thought it was okay, but most people thought it was bad. And I was gonna completely disregard those opinions, watch it with excitement, and form my own opinion. Cause a lot of the time I don't tend to have the same opinion as a lot of people in society. Like with Sword Art Online, a lot of people think the first season was the best one. A lot of people think the first arc was the best one. That's not my opinion. But this is not the stream we're gonna talk about that on. So, unfortunately, when it came to Korra, my opinion is very similar to a lot of people's. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. So, starting with season 1. Let's see. I probably should have made notes on this to help me organize my thoughts. But season 1. I thought season 1 had a lot of potential. Season 1, it's all about Korra, the next Avatar. And even when she was a kid, she knew how to waterbend, firebend, earthbend, but she didn't know airbending. And Aang's son, Tenzin, was the only airbending master that she could learn from. So she goes to Republic City to learn from him. And then, yeah, ends up getting into pro bending, which is like some game that they have there. And then also ends up finding out about this group of people who are kind of like communist. The Equalizers. They're led by this guy named Ahmad. As people there think non-benders are being oppressed. They think people with bending abilities are oppressing the non-benders. And so yeah, the Equalist group was formed by this guy named Ramon who believed that bending was a plague on humanity. I thought that was so interesting. I loved the concept of like that first season with the Equalist. I really liked that. That was one of my pros of season 1. But like, I'm a little disappointed with how they did it though. I heard that Legend of Korra was originally supposed to be a 12-episode mini-series. It wasn't going to be a full-length series like the original Avatar was. So a lot of it is very rushed, especially around the beginning. The later seasons aren't as bad with the rushing, but season 1, my god, some of the stuff in season 1 is rushed so horribly. And I kind of feel like once they get to the Equalizer plot, it's not that bad. Like the Equalizer plot line itself isn't that bad. But if they had stretched out season 1, if they had like started with the intention to have a full season, it could have been a lot better than it was. I thought the idea of like putting a focus and spotlight on the non-benders was really interesting because while we had like Sokka in The Last Airbender, but we didn't really have a lot of plot lines or like spotlights for non-bender characters the way that the first season of Korra was putting a spotlight on the non-benders. You know. How much of a Korra did you guys see? Like, I'm curious, how far did you get? Did you get far enough to the Equalizer plot? I mean, that's not very far. I think maybe episode 5 or 6 of Korra is when the Equalizer plotline comes in. I really should have organized my thoughts before getting into this stream. Dang. That's a good mindset to form your own opinion by experiencing things yourself. Even if it ends up similar to the general opinion, you still gave it a chance. Yeah, thank you. I'm very proud to say that too. So yeah, I guess let's just focus on. Let's start with the pros I have regarding season 1. So season 1, like I said, one of my major pros about that was that I thought the concept was really interesting. Cause when Korra discovers the Equalizer group, she discovers that the bad guy Amon has the power to take away people's bending, which was something that previously only the Avatar was known to be able to do. So this was like leading up into this really good mystery. Like, how is he able to do this? Who is Amon? You know, why did he start the Equalists? This was a really good concept. But I just feel like, yeah, you know him? Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, what's my exact opinion of Amon and the Equalizers? I guess my only issue with the Equalizers was that I feel they didn't go in depth enough with them. Like take the issue of oppression, for example. I remember I saw some people on a comment thread under another Korra video talking about this once. About, like, one person said, like, oh, you know, the non-benders weren't really oppressed, like, the Equalists stated. And someone else pointed out that, well, it's not super prevalent in the season. There are instances of it. But I think that in itself is the issue, though, that it's just instances. I feel like they should have expanded on it a little more. There are a few scenes where you can see non-benders being oppressed in the first season, but there's not that many of them. I think there's like maybe 2 or 3 at the max. And it wasn't even like the general public doing the oppressing either. If I remember correct, it was one councilman who was doing the oppression towards non-benders. So I feel like the Equalist and Amon's plotline is general regard towards the oppression. I feel like that would have been a lot lot stronger if there were actually more people oppressing non-benders. Like, think kind of like the way Detroit Become Human does it. If you guys know the video game Detroit Become Human, it's about androids. Like, it's about a society where people have created androids that look just like real people. And there's a bunch of characters who, like, yeah, they treat them just like they're robots, like they don't have feelings. The whole point is that the androids kind of are developing their own thoughts and feelings, and there's so many instances throughout the game where they're being oppressed. I feel like the season 1 of Korra, while the plotline was really good, it would have been a lot stronger if we saw more instances like that. If we saw, like, more characters that were oppressing, and, like, different levels of oppression too, just to show how ingrained into society it is. Like, you got people who are doing very obvious oppression things, and then you've got people who, like, their actions are a little more subtle, you know? Like, it's oppression, but you might not see it that way unless you really break it down and look at it. You've seen quite a bit? Yeah, so you'll probably know everything I'm talking about then. I saw some videos about, not opinions, luckily. People don't generally have the best opinion of Korra. Yeah, even though they wanted that plot point, they didn't really focus on it much or show much of it. Yes, that's like the one con I have. Otherwise, I thought the plot line itself was pretty great. And that's just regarding the egoist plot. So, like, most of the things I like about Korra are pretty interspersed throughout the show. So when it comes to season 1, there aren't that many things I thought that were super great about it. I think the egoist plotline was really the only thing I thought was super good about the first season. I have more cons about the first season than pros. And I guess the first one would be that, you know, it's kind of rushed, like I said, because they didn't intend for it to be a full series. A lot of little things like subplots were not given the time they needed. And I feel like it also kind of retconned some previous Avatar lore in a sense. Like, Korra. In the very first scene of the first episode, we see Korra as a child, maybe 5, 6 years old, around that age, and her parents had summoned these officials to their house because they believed their daughter was the Avatar. And then you see little 5 or 6-year-old Korra saying, "I'm the Avatar," and like throwing around fire and water and earth as a little 5-year-old. And it's like, if you watch the previous Avatar, The Last Airbender, we know that, like, not just Aang, not only Aang, but Roku as well, both went on journeys to learn each element. And honestly, like, with that in mind, it's probably something that every single Avatar before Korra did. So the fact that Korra just knew all these elements as a kid, just, why? I think the only reason is, like, because it was meant to be a mini-series. There's no way you'd be able to have her go on a whole journey to learn the elements in, like, 12 episodes. But I also feel like that's, like, a major plot hole. The fact that she knows all the elements from the get-go. It's like, you think about it. Every Avatar starts with their one element of whatever nation they're born to. Like Aang, for instance. He was born in an airbender nation. He's an airbender. He knows airbending. Everyone around him knows airbending. So, naturally, he picked up airbending first. And naturally, it's, you know, it's what he's able to learn with where he is at the time. But he has to go on a journey to find other people to teach him the other elements because airbenders can't teach him, like, earthbending or any of the other bending styles. They can't teach him how to manipulate water or throw fire or anything like that. So he has to go find people who can teach him those things. And the same thing with Roku. Roku had to do the same thing. I'm willing to bet every single Avatar did. So it just did not make sense that Korra was able to just pick up these things as a kid, no less. Not even as an adult. Like, maybe you could have, maybe it could have worked if Korra, like, as an adult, put a lot of hard work and studies into these styles. Maybe she could have self-taught herself to control the different elements if she had, like, good resources, like books and, like, bending scrolls that she could study. Maybe they could have gotten away with it if it was like that, But I think it's just the fact that it was like she's a little kid and she just picks it up on her own. That's just not at all believable to me. It kind of just retcons the whole Avatar has to go on a journey to learn the elements. Like, I know they're the Avatar, but they're not just born with this information. The Avatar is essentially, like, in this sense, they're essentially just like any other normal bender. They have to learn how to bend. The Avatar is capable of bending all 4 elements, but they still have to learn how to do it. So, yeah, I don't like how she just knows how to do it as a kid. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, you just gave her that ability for no reason. The knowledge of bending does not pass between Avatar to Avatar. If it did, Roku and Aang wouldn't have had to do anything. They would just have known how to bend from the get-go. They would have had so many lifetimes for this information to pass through. So that's my first major con regarding Season 1. I absolutely despise that. It's one of my least favorite parts of Korra, is just that she was able to do that as a kid. The only one she actually works to learn is airbending. Let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. The other major point that I really didn't like about Season 1, the romance. God, the romance! Season 1 was kind of weird. It was like, it takes a bit for the Equalist plotline to get going. Before you've got that Equalist plotline, Korra needs to learn airbending, she goes to Republic City, and she ends up getting into like pro bending, as well as meeting some other characters that she gets into like a love triangle with. So you have those individual little subplots going on before the Equalists come in. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it. My first issue, like, let's kind of like set the romance on, just set the romance over here in the corner for just a second, until I can get to that. My first major complaint, regarding these little subplots leading up to the Equalist, Korra really wanted to learn airbending. That whole thing starts with Tenzin visiting her village. She meets Tenzin. Oh, hey, Tenzin's an airbender. Tenzin could teach her airbending, but Tenzin refuses to. So he goes back home to Republic City, and she sneaks out on a boat with her giant polar bear dog, goes to Republic City against everyone's wishes to learn airbending. And then, okay, she's learning airbending from Tenzin. She manages to convince him to teach her, and she's learning from him. Cool. Great. All fine and dandy. And then she hears about pro bending, like, on the radio or something. All she wants to do is listen to it. All she wants to do is get into it. All this, all that. And it's like, I know at the beginning of Korra, there's not some 100-year war that Korra has to focus on or anything. Not the way Aang did, and not the way that other avatars may have had to do, like, their own individual plights they may have had to deal with. So I know, for Korra, her life is probably a little more like a normal teenager's, and she kind of wants to just enjoy that as well. But you worked so hard to come to Republic City. You worked so hard to convince Tenzin to teach you when he wasn't out going to originally. And then when he finally agrees to, when you're having some trouble with it, you just get so easily distracted and go off. You don't want to train anymore. Like, I know Korra's not the same person as Aang. I know her personality's not the same. And I know she's really different. Every avatar is different. But I absolutely did not like how determined she was to learn airbending until she had some difficulty with it. And then she just like, nope, pro bending. I'm gonna go get into that. I'm gonna go check that out. Like, why? Yeah, Korra didn't do anything to earn her status. Yeah, see? Exactly. Like, why? Why were you able to pick up all this bending on your own? And why is it that the first time you face any difficulty with bending, you just kind of give up? And, like, I can kind of see Korra's point in that, like, yeah, if you're frustrated, you should be able to have your own distractions and stuff. And, Tenzin was pushing her very, very hard. Like, once he let her start to learn airbending, he was pushing her pretty hard. And I can understand wanting a distraction. I can understand wanting to just let yourself forget all about bending for just a little bit. But I don't like the way it was done. It didn't feel like hey, I just need a break, you know, Tenza, can I just like have a 5 minutes to go listen to this pro bending story? No, it was like she just drops all the ball on it altogether almost. Not like she specifically says, I quit, I'm not gonna do this anymore, but it was like she could have said she needed a break and been a little more mature about it. But instead, it was more like, it was more like, I'm having trouble with this, I'm gonna go do this whether you like it or not, even though I fought so hard to get over here. I don't know, it's a little hard for me to describe, I suppose. Like, put it into words, the exact vibe. Like, I'm trying to describe a vibe. And that's what I'm having some trouble with. I'm trying to describe, like, the general feel of what she was doing. And I'm having a little bit of trouble putting it into words. But if you guys saw season 1, you know what I'm talking about. Her general attitude towards learning airbending. Right when she starts to have some difficulty with it. The romance was way too much in the spotlight. Oh god, it was bad too, lol. Yes, I hated that. Okay, so Korra gets into pro bending. Now, pro bending is like a new concept that didn't exist in The Last Airbender. It's new to Korra, and it's essentially like, think like a wrestling ring. And then there's 2 teams with 3 people on each team. Each team has 1 waterbender, 1 firebender, and 1 earthbender, because while airbenders are a thing in Korra, they haven't come in just yet. So no airbending. So you got 1 person representing each element that, you know, is just generally around, not counting airbenders. So Korra goes there. She goes to this ring, and hey, one of the team's guys isn't able to play, so they're down a person. So like, hey, you know, she ends up joining. She becomes officially a part of the team, and she's playing. It's like, at that point, it felt like the plot took like a complete 180. Went from Avatar stuff into sports stuff. Like, the transition wasn't very smooth in my opinion. It was too rough, and it changed the whole feel of the show for that portion. Just in my opinion, it felt almost like I was watching a different show, you know? It would have been better if the transition was a little smoother. But while she's in that team, the other 2 teammates are the brothers, Bolin and Mako. And her first impression of Bolin is pretty good. He's a friendly, pretty nice guy. He's actually one of the characters I liked a lot, especially later on. And then there's Mako, who she did not have a very good impression of. And like, this is the point I hated the most regarding the romance. The romance in general is pretty bad, but my least favorite part was the beginning. Because when she first meets Mako, she thinks he's kind of pretentious. She thinks he's rude. She thinks he's stuck up. He's a snob. Like, he thinks he's better than her. Like, he kind of has this better than everybody attitude. That's what she generally thinks of Mako when she meets him. So it's like, you know, okay, you're creating room for character development. You're creating room for this relationship to develop later. That's great. That's admirable. Some relationships should be rocky at first so they can be better later. Kind of like what Aang and Zuko's relationship was for a lot of Avatar. They were good friends at the end, but they had to get there. So this could have been really, really good. Having like Korra and Mako be a bit at odds at first before they like join into the team. Well, I guess a better comparison would be the way Katara and Toph were at the beginning of their relationship, you know? So like this could have been really great for Korra. This could have been a really good moment for character development. But instead, like 1 or 2 episodes later, suddenly Korra finds Mako attractive. Suddenly she wants to kiss him. Then suddenly she does kiss him. And like, oh god, he's got a girlfriend. And it's like 3 episodes ago, this show was about her learning airbending. Where did all of this come from? And 2 episodes ago, you thought this guy was stuck up and you didn't like him at all. Now you want to kiss him? Now you want to be his girlfriend? And to make matters worse, like I said, he had a girlfriend when this happened. And just... like... I'm not against the whole thing with like Korra having feelings for someone who has a girlfriend. Honestly, I think that could have been a really good subplot later on if it had enough time to develop. You could have had them have longer for them to get to know each other and have it so that like, hey, yeah, Korra and Mako's relationship had time to develop. They go from not good terms to being on okay terms to being friends, and then hey, now feelings are starting to develop. Maybe Korra starts to like him later down the road. But hey, he's got a girlfriend. It's this thing she struggles with. It could have been really, really good if they had just done it right. But 2 episodes is not enough time for a character to realistically go from disliking someone to having feelings for them. It's just... that was one of my least favorite parts of season 1. Like, just when the kiss happened. Especially considering Mako was not some one-off character that wouldn't be there after season 1. He was there for the whole show. His girlfriend Asami was there for the whole show. And of course Korra was. They had all this time they could have used to develop this relationship. It did not need to happen as soon as it did. I don't get why they did that. Is it because Aang liked Katara from the first time he saw her? That's not the same thing as thinking someone's horrible at first and then liking them an episode later. Like, Aang's feelings regarding Katara, they were really consistent throughout the whole show. Maybe there were episodes where he was mad at Katara, but that's not the same thing as having your feelings about that person completely change or anything. So Aang and Katara's relationship was really consistent. I give it props for that. I just generally don't see who on the Avatar writing team thought this relationship dynamic was a good idea. Who thought it was a good idea for it to happen this soon? Many stories do that, even if it's like first instance. Person takes years to develop an ability, protagonist learns it in one day. Yes! And it's like, okay, if your story gives the character a reason as to why they're able to pick this up easier than other people, then great, perfect. That works just fine. But when it comes to Korra and bending, that's not what happened. You know, we already talked about like why it doesn't make sense, so I'm not gonna go over that again. But yeah, Korra should not have been able to learn all those bending types on her own as a kid. Not when like Aang and Roku and literally every other avatar before her had to go on some journey to learn all this stuff. It doesn't make sense. She just didn't take anything seriously for the most part. Thank you, thank you. Yes, that is what I was struggling to come up with words for. It's like, she really wants to learn airbending because she's the avatar. She has to learn all the elements. Okay, she's got that part right. That is the duty of the avatar. So she's gonna learn airbending for the fact that she's the avatar. But then yeah, when she runs into difficulty, it's like, okay, in comparison, Aang ran into difficulty too when he had to learn different bending types. When he first tries to learn fire bending, he accidentally burns Katara and kind of becomes traumatized by the idea of firebending and vows to never do it again, which leads to some really good points later on in the show. I'm gonna just throw that in there. And then, of course, when he tries to learn earthbending, because it's the opposite of airbending, he had some trouble picking that up too. Now, the difference is, like, Aang had the weight of a whole war and a lot of people's lives on his shoulders. So he didn't have the time to just sit around and wait for the time he's able to pick this up. He had to work for it, and he had motivation, which was good. Now, well, again, while I get that Korra doesn't have like a 100-year war on her shoulders, it's like, that's probably why she's more casual about it, honestly. Like, I get it. There's no pressure for you to learn this stuff because there wasn't a threat at the time of these episodes. The Equals had not come in yet, and no villains from future seasons come in yet at all either. Not even in season 1, like, you know, because they're the villains of future seasons. So, like, there wasn't any sort of major plot, like, plight going on around this time. So I get it. You don't have to learn it, like, on the first day or anything. There's not that kind of pressure. But it's the way her attitude shifted. That's what I'm taking up issue with. You were so adamant on learning airbending, and then now you just do a complete 180. Pro-bending! That's my priority now! It's like, just... I think the suspended person was saying the plot point is unwanted drama. I think it was Henry that deleted that message. Yeah, no, Chris, I agree with you. It was a lot of unneeded drama for that part. So, like, instead of having her start some weird love triangle just for the heck of it, why not just bring in the equalist sooner? And I have no issue with her liking pro-bending, but the transition could have been smoother. It was too abrupt. That's what it was. It's rushed. She jumps from airbending to pro-bending, like in 2 seconds flat. And that's what the issue is. I'm sorry if I have a little bit of trouble conveying some of these points. I really should have watched Korra again before I tried to do the stream, so all of this would be fresh in my mind. I didn't want to sit through the whole thing all over again. In my opinion, it's not really worth the rewatch. So I'm like bringing all this back up from the depths of my memory to talk about it. Yeah, I'm the Avatar and you have to deal with it. Yes, we literally had to deal with it. Yes! That was her whole attitude. It's like, honestly, I think Korra's personality in general was fine. Korra's an okay character. That's what my general opinion of Korra is. Like, the character, not the show overall. Korra's an okay character. And to some extent, I kind of appreciate that her personality is different and leads to her pursuing different things that Aang did. It throws things up a bit, changes it up. But again, season 1 was just way too rushed for its own good. And I don't understand why they even decided to do a miniseries. Because the original Last Airbender was so popular. You had so many people supporting it. Why did you have some doubt in your mind that the second season wouldn't be as good? Oh god, my job is trying to call me. Well, no, I'm not picking up. I can't go into work today. But, what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Like, the original Avatar was so popular. Like, I don't know if they had some doubt in their mind that a follow-up series wouldn't be as good or something, or people wouldn't like it as much. But if they had put the same effort into Korra, maybe Korra wouldn't have been as great as Avatar because, there are still different ideas being used. But Korra could have been a lot better than it was, especially season 1. If you had just given each of these plot points the proper time to develop and introduce them with more smooth transitions, that would have made season 1 so much better. Like, all using the exact same ideas, just better. If I were to rewrite season 1 of Korra, well, actually, if I were to rewrite season 1 of Korra, I was gonna go, suggest some small changes. But if I want to change, one thing I would definitely change is how she knows all the elements as a kid. And it's like, well, to change that, you'd have to change, a bunch of stuff in season 1. I would have made it so that the series has the overarching story of her learning the elements just like the original Avatar. And I would have kept the equalist plot, because again, I think the whole idea of a spotlight on the non-benders was great. I liked the idea of Amon. And it was just generally really great. Now, okay, one more con I want to talk about. This is the last one coming to mind regarding season 1. But one more con I had was actually regarding Amon. While I feel he's a really good villain, he honestly kind of feels weak at the same time. To give a brief overview, Amon is the leader of the Equalists in Season 1. He is the guy who holds, like, secret meetings for people to come by, like rallies. Yeah, rallies is more the word. Rallying people up and telling them that bending is a plague on humanity. People with these powers use them for evil. They use them to oppress those who don't have these special abilities. And so he offers to rid humanity, Republic City of their bending abilities. So then he proceeds to forcibly take away people's bending, demonstrating it to the audience and like thus bringing that whole plot line into the show, introducing it to Korra and introducing it to the viewer. Now, yeah, Amon is painted as a non-bender who had the ability to take away bending. In reality, he was actually a waterbender and was the son of somebody who knew how to take away people's bending through blood bending, I think. So it has to do with waterbending. So yeah, plot twist, he wasn't really a non-bender in the end. Well, of course, you could see that coming. How would a non-bender have the abilities of the Avatar, you know? Now, my issues with Amon was that I didn't feel like he really did that much. He hosted some rallies, he took away some people's bending, and he threatened the Avatar. I believe he also had somebody working for him in the city council, which resulted in some troubles with the city council. But I feel like for the climax of Amon's story, they could have gone a lot bigger than they did. They kind of ended up stopping Amon before he could do any real damage. And it's like, why? Especially compared to like the later villains in Korra, their decisions had like a big effect on the world around them and stuff. Amon's felt very contained. It didn't affect anyone outside of Republic City. Nobody really got seriously hurt or died. People who had their bending taken away, well, it was given back to them by Korra in the end. So, while I like him as a concept, I feel like he could have done more. It just felt like everything he did was easily reversible. And then he just dies at the end of the season too, so there's no coming back for Amon. That was one issue I really had with him. He could have been more than he was. And the fact he was able to take away people's bending despite not being the Avatar, like, I can kind of get a general sense for how it works, like involving chakras and blood bending and water bending. Okay, but it would have been a little nicer if they could like go into how he's able to do that a little more. Like in the original series of Avatar, it's said that like under the power of the full moon, waterbenders are able to blood bend. But Amon's father, who's a waterbender, first of all, managed to discover bloodbending without the power of the full moon, and it never really went into like how he managed to learn that. And then on top of that, yeah, it doesn't really go into how Amon is able to take away people's bending entirely through waterbending. I would have liked to get some more detail on that. I would have liked to hear the specifics of how you're able to do that, you know? So like that's some questions we never had answered. It's never addressed again throughout the show. Retracted means you remove yourself, I think. Deleted means a mod removed. Okay, that's good to know. Good to know. I don't really host that many streams on YouTube, so it's like, it's different over here. I think she was an okay character, but not a good Avatar character. True. Honestly, there were other characters. There were side characters that I liked more tang Korra. Like Aang's son Boomy. I really liked Boomy, and I liked Bolin. I like Mako too, but I like Mako as Bolin's brother, not as Korra's love interest. If it's like, oh yeah, the dynamic between the two brothers, I liked that. That was cool. That was fine and great. But Mako as Korra's love interest and as a part of the love triangle, no, that was terrible, and I never want to see that again. Wash my eyes out with bleach and then rip them out of my face and throw them out the window. I don't need my eyes anymore after witnessing this dumpster fire. Not a good character to play as the character, at least. Yeah. Honestly, I would have loved to see a female character as the Avatar that's just not Korra. I would have liked to see her go on the Avatar journey. If you kept these plot lines, but like still with the general Avatar plot, like I know they probably didn't want to rehash her learning the elements, but I'm sorry, if you're covering another Avatar, you had this established that every Avatar needs to learn the elements. So if you're making a show about another Avatar, either the show needs to start after they're an adult and they've already done the learning the elements, or you need to cover them learning the elements. There's no getting around that without like retconning your own lore. It doesn't make sense how she was able to pick that up on her own. It just doesn't. There's nothing you can do to fix that. Well, I mean, there are things you can do to fix them, but like, there's nothing you can do to keep it the way it was with her being a kid and learning it and making it believable, you know? Maybe they was afraid of ruining the world building or doing a power creep. All new characters stronger than old ones. I mean, I guess. But honestly, one thought I have on that is, like, while you wouldn't want all characters to be stronger than the old ones, it does make sense that a lot of people would be stronger in Korra than they would be in The Last Airbender, because people are learning new tricks with their bending. People are learning more about bending and spirituality. They have more information in Korra than they did in the original Avatar series. So it makes sense that they would be stronger in Korra. I really don't think they should have been afraid to have Korra struggle with these bad guys. Especially also considering it's not like we're watching Aang, who went on a whole journey to learn all this stuff, struggle with a bunch of new bad guys. This is a whole new character who didn't have those same experiences. She's gonna pave her own way, have her own experiences, her own adventures, and she's gonna learn her own way, her own things. So, it's not like we're watching this character that already grew so much, still struggling a bunch. This is a whole fresh new slate with a new character. If she had struggled, I don't think anyone would have been upset with that. That's what I would have liked to see. I think that's what a lot of people would have loved to see. And like, I hear that the Team Avatar has come back together and are working on new Avatar content. I hope that like whatever they do, like let's say they're starting a new Avatar show, for example, with the next Avatar, I hope that they really learn from what people have said about Korra and address those issues, you know, like, don't rush your first season. Learn from your mistakes and overcome them with your next show. Like how Boruto did. I haven't seen Boruto, so I can't really comment on that. Yeah, I can't really comment on that. I haven't seen Boruto. Sorry for slightly changing the topic. Feel free to ignore my content. If you want, have you ever checked out any Gundam shows? I have not, actually. I haven't seen a lot of mecha stuff. Yeah, people's talking about Gundam in the chat now. Maybe we should go to next season. Season 1 is kind of too much of a mess. Yeah, true. I believe I've already said all I need to on Season 1 anyway. Now, Season 2. Season 2 was... Honestly, Season 2 is the one I struggled to remember the most. Like, it had a plot line that goes more into spirituality. The first season was more on the physical, you know, with bending and stuff. Season 2 delves more into spirituality. It introduces spirits, the spirit world, and connecting with spirits, spirit portals, all of that. That's all more introduced in Season 2. So, the plot line is very heavily spirituality based. Now, like I said, I can't remember Season 2 as well, so I may be forgetting certain points. But, basically, what the plot of Season 2 was, based on what I remember, in the Avatar series, there are two water tribes, the Northern Water Tribe and the Southern Water Tribe. That's established in the Avatar, Last Airbender as well. I don't know why I keep saying the Avatar, I could just say Last Airbender. It's established in Last Airbender, and it's also the same way in Korra. Now, Korra's family, her dad is the chief of the Southern Water Tribe, and his brother is the chief of the Northern Water Tribe. Well, his brother ends up having a trip. He comes down to the Southern Water Tribe, and evil spirits start attacking. Now his brother, Unalaq, that's his name. Unalaq, who is also the villain for season 2, believes that the Sun and Water Tribe has lost their way in terms of spirituality. The portal near the Sun and Water Tribe had been closed for a long time, and Unalaq wanted to open it, which caused some conflict. It caused some conflict with the Sun and Water Tribe. So it had this whole plot line of like a civil war. The civil war is threatening to take place between the two water tribes, and Korra is trying to settle it, you know? And this season had some really good points. Like Korra, she tries to maintain this neutral stance between the two water tribes. She doesn't want to side with either of them because, you know, while she's duty-bound as the Avatar to keep the peace, she also doesn't want to start conflict between her family and her tribe. So, she has this whole conflict within herself, like, what's the best thing to do here? What should I do here? I thought that was really great. It's good to give Korra some character development, and this was a good opportunity for her. Again, good opportunity for character development. Now, one difference that the plot for season 2 had that season 1 did not, season 2 was not as rushed. I'll give it that. It took more time to flesh out what was going on. It didn't really rush into the Civil War stuff. And season 2 was also the season that introduced the episodes about Avatar 1. I loved those. One of my favorite thing in season 2 was definitely the 2 episodes going into the origins of the first Avatar. Oh, that was awesome. You guys remember that? Did you guys ever see that? There were 2 episodes that went into how the Avatar cycle got started. It was really interesting. Honestly, I like those 2 episodes more than I like the entirety of Korra. All you need to know is the protagonist is supposed to be relatable, that hates parents, but he's just spoiled. I have bad parents, and sees beaching, and there's a lot more plot armors and stuff. Well, dang. Oh yeah, maybe I can watch Boruto and do a Boruto review at some point. Oh yeah, I feel like there's some stuff regarding the plot and Civil War that I'm forgetting, but again, it didn't stick in my mind as well as the plot lines for the other 3 seasons. So, yeah, learning about past avatars is always cool, right? Like, even some of the avatars mentioned in the original series, like Yang Chen and that waterbender avatar before Kyoshi that I always forget the name of, even them, like, I feel like they're so interesting, so much more interesting in compared to Korra. Like, I'm sorry, Korra is just the least interesting avatar to me. And like, the fact that I think Yang Chen, for example, is more interesting is just kind of sad. Like, not in terms of my opinions, but just on how Korra was handled. Yang Chen is mentioned like maybe twice in the original Avatar, and there's one time where Aang communicates with her and she has a couple sentences detailing how she would handle the Fire Lord, and that's it. That's all Yang Chen has at all throughout both series, and I still think she's more interesting than Korra. Now maybe it's because we didn't get a lot of information regarding Yang Chen. And like, it's like the mystery around her that's interesting. Same with the other avatars, you know? But you'd think the avatar that we get a lot of info on would be really entertaining and interesting, and just, Korra's just not. Well, whatever. So, pros of season 2. Definitely the 2 episodes going into Avatar 1's story, although I do have a con on those that I hadn't really thought about until I watched another video about it. There's a channel called Hello Future Me. He did his own video regarding the story of Wan, and he brought up a point that I hadn't considered, but after watching his video, I very heavily agree with. It was the introduction of good versus evil spirits. That's what the issue is. Like, he made a good point. In The Last Airbender, spirits weren't really good or evil. They were more morally gray. You had good spirits who would do bad things if they were provoked the right way, and then you had evil not evil, but you know what I'm saying. Spirits weren't really good or evil. They didn't really take a side. Like Heibai, the first spirit that Aang comes into contact with was Heibai, who was a spirit introduced to the series when he's like destroying a village. He's destroying a village in the night, kidnapping people. Obviously bad things you think a bad spirit would be doing. But then turns out he was just angry and upset because his forest had been destroyed by the Fire Nation. Once he's assured that his forest would come back someday, he stops harassing the village, stops kidnapping people, returns the kidnapped villagers, and he becomes Aang's friend for the rest of the show. So spirits in Avatar were like that. If they were doing something bad, it wasn't because they were a bad spirit, it was because there was something going on. But in Korra, there's an introduction like good versus evil spirits, non-corrupt spirits versus corrupt ones. And like again, I didn't think about this at all until I watched Hello Future Me's video, but yeah, I didn't like that they kind of retconned the morally gray spirits. I mean, I'll give them props for the episodes for Avatar 1 because other than that, I have absolutely no issue with the Avatar 1 episodes. I thought it was great. It was super interesting to see how the cycle started. And it was super interesting to see the contrast of what society was back then compared to what it is in Last Airbender and Korra. I liked all of that. That was great. And honestly, again, the fact that we get 2 episodes with Wan and he's so much more likable than Korra says a lot about Korra. I really liked Wan. It was just so great. But season 2 was also the introduction to Rava, the spirit of good, like the light spirit. Rava was spiritually bound to Wan's soul. They became completely fused together, soul tied. So when Wan died, well, Rava's not capable of dying, so she would just be reborn into the next person. And that's how the Avatar cycle got started. There was more to it. It involved a battle with an evil spirit named Vatu, who was very prevalent in season 2. He's another major antagonist for season 2. And yeah, like Korra is the only other Avatar other than Wan to ever know about Rava, which I think that's really interesting. I don't really like Korra, but I do kind of like that. It's, you know, like no other Avatar besides Wan and Korra ever knew about Rava. That's just interesting in of itself, you know. I don't know any names, so I'm hearing and learning confused. Yeah, let me take a step back a bit for a second. So, the way the episodes with Avatar 1 starts, Korra is struggling to soothe the upcoming battle between their 2 water tribes. And she's attacked on the water by an evil spirit. The evil spirit attacks her and knocks her out. And she ends up getting amnesia. She can't remember anything. She is found by these people who were like closely tied to the Air Nation. And they help her remember her, you know, they help her get her memories back, but they start with like how the Avatar cycle started. They like help her delve into like why the Avatar cycle is a thing, why the Avatar exists, and like the ties between the Avatar and the spiritual world. So it ends up going into like the background. She had to remember who Rava was. That's what it was. In order to soothe everything, she didn't know who Rava was and what her ties to Rava were. So she gets flashbacks going back into the past when Avatar 1, well, he wasn't the Avatar yet. He was just 1. He was a member of the tribe that had the power of fire, you know, like the Fire Nation, but they weren't really the Fire Nation back then. In those episodes, things are really different. People don't generally have bending powers. It's like everybody's a non-bender. And the towns are all built on the backs of giant lion turtles. So when they would go out to get like supplies and like fight spirits, because they're kind of at odds with spirits, the humans and spirits worlds were not separated back then. So people would need the powers of like fire and the elements to protect themselves. So when they needed to go out, the lion turtle would give them the power of firebending. So like one day Wan, who's a kind of a part of the lower class of society and is tired of being oppressed by the authorities, he joins one of those scouting trips out into the wilds. He gets the power of the lion turtles, But he ends up getting separated, and like I think he gets. I'm kind of, some of this might be getting blurred together, but basically he doesn't give the power back. He ends up keeping it, honing it. He ends up living in the wild, and yeah, he ends up befriending spirits. So that's kind of how that starts. But then while he's out there in the wilds, he comes across two spirits who are fighting, Rava and Vatu, and Vatu gives him some sob story that's obviously, you know, not real. About how, like, they've been fighting for eternity and she just won't give it up, and, you know, it's affecting people around them. Like, Juan can see it's affecting animals and other living things around them, the fact that they're fighting and how terrible it is. So he puts it upon himself. He stops the fight himself. He takes his fire powers, firebending, and stops the fight himself. Now, he thinks he did a good thing, but, like, Rava just tells him, like, no, you fools. Like, now Vatu's escaped. Rava's kept him at bay this whole time. And, like, they can't really be separate, you know? Good can't exist without evil, and vice versa. So they were always meant to be at odds with each other, controlling the other. But now he was free onto the world, and he starts corrupting the evil spirits and stuff. So, in order to stop Vatu, he goes on a trip with Rava all around the world, finding the other lion turtles and getting each bending power from them. And then, once he had all 4 kinds of bending, once he had mastered all 4 kinds of bending, he enters a battle with Vatu, but he's not really able to defeat it. And, like, he's able to fuse with Rava for, like, the Avatar state. That's what the Avatar state is, when, like, he's using Rava's powers. He's able to do that, but not for very long, or they would be, like, forever joined or something. Or maybe that's not that. There was some reason why they couldn't do it for very long. I know you would hurt one or something like that. I don't know. But this happened during an event called Harmonic Convergence, which caused them to fuse permanently. So that's how the Avatar cycle got started. I hope it wasn't too confusing for me trying to recount all that. I might have forgotten a couple details here and there too, but that's generally what happened. So, like, Korra gets these flashbacks and gets this information. And that's how those episodes go. Oh, you gotta go, Chris. Bye. Also, hi, Kiranator. Hope I said that right. Kiranator. How you doing today? Yeah, we're just going over the plot lines of Season 2, talking about the pros and cons. Now, I was just going over kind of what happened in the Avatar 1 episodes to give some more context for people who haven't seen those episodes. So it's like animals. They don't have alignment. If they're hungry, you're in danger. But even some dangerous beasts can be tamed somehow. Well, not really that they can be tamed, but just, like, they kind of just, they're their own group. And if they're doing something towards humanity, it's because they have some reason to. But, like, yeah, in Korra, it introduced the whole concept of, like, good and evil spirits. There are ones that were corrupted by Vatu, and then there were ones who were not. Yeah, I haven't watched Korra in a long while. Honestly, it's been a bit for me, too. Like, the last time I watched it was just a few months ago. Does air have an extra bending like metal, blood, or thunder? I don't believe it has like an extra bending, but there are like sub abilities that some airbenders are able to learn in Korra. Like once airbending makes its return, there are some things that certain characters are able to learn because they're airbenders. So like not really like a subgenre of bending, but you know, extra stuff. And a lot of it's like new, like stuff you didn't see in the original series. So that was one of the things I do like about Korra. But yeah, let's see. Regarding Season 2. I'm trying to think, where were we? Well, after Korra learns about Rava and Vatu, it goes into this plot where like, yeah, Unalaq wants to open the spirit portals. And he wants to fuse with Vatu to become like this super powerful being. Turns out his whole plot about wanting to unify them was just a ruse to like he wanted to really overthrow Korra's father as the chief and take over, and he wanted to like change the nation. He wanted to use Vatu's power to like bring the world into a new era and all that. all that jazz. He wasn't a good person. Honestly, I didn't really like Unalaq that much. I thought Amon was a lot more interesting as a villain. Unalaq just kind of annoyed me. And then, the ending of Season 2 though, the big battle at the end, where Korra uses the power of Rava to fight off Unalaq using the power of Vatu, that was really epic. I like that. I actually did see that a long time ago. As my family used to have a streaming service called Demand, and they had those episodes. So I watched them, you know. It's like, and I thought, like, I realized, oh yeah, this is like a subgenre for Avatar. So yeah, I'll watch these 2 episodes. I actually, for a long time, thought that was the end of Korra. It kind of did look like an ending. I mean, they defeat the bad guy, they bring the world into a new era, and yeah. So I thought that's how the show ended. Turns out that was just the ending of Season 2, man. Okay, so I believe I may have said the few pros I have of Season 2. It's hard to remember because I really don't remember Season 2 as well. But some of the cons I had regarding Season 2, 1, rushed romance. Again, this time, not between Korra and Mako. Nope, not between them. This time, it's between Bolin and one of Unalaq's kids. Unalaq has a son and a daughter. They look very similar. And Bolin ends up becoming, like, the quote-unquote love interest for his daughter. Let's see. Their names like Eshka and Desna. That's what their names. I can't remember who was who, but the daughter was kind of like a clingy, emotionless, kind of brutal not really psychopath, but she's not exactly the most gentle person. So Bolin didn't really want to be around her. He spent the whole season, you know, like dreading being around her. She was pushing him towards engagement and talking about marriage and stuff. Marriage or she would kill him. And he was scared of her the whole season. But at the very end, he's suddenly like, Eska, I love you, blah, 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 you know, you really were the one for me. Like, he was saying this because she had captured him, and they needed to go free in order to stop Unalaq. So he's saying these things, at least it looks like he's saying these things just to get out of her trap. So she lets him go. But then Mako was like, wow, great acting, bro. You know, it's the best acting I've ever seen. And he's like, oh, yeah, acting. And it's like, well, are you being serious? Like, you spent the whole season being afraid of this girl, and then now suddenly you actually like her. What? Like, where did that come from? Again, rushed romance. This is horrible. I don't know what the writers were thinking with that. And I was like, okay, if he actually was just acting with all of that dialogue, that would have been okay. It wouldn't have changed anything. It would have been consistent. But it's the fact that he really was serious in the end. Like, he did a complete 180. Bolin did not like Eska. He was scared of her. And then just suddenly likes her at the end. I don't understand that. Why? By a long while, I mean literal years. Oof. Yeah, I'd never seen Korra like until this year, you know? So, you know, that's the other thing I forgot to mention as to why I can't remember Season 2 as well. When I was watching Season 2, I ended up dropping it at some point and took like a long break before I watched Season 3 and 4. So Season 2, like, yeah, it didn't stick in my mind that well. But I do remember that, and I remember I hated that. Also, the whole plot line introduced in Season 2 where Bolin became a mover star. Basically just a movie star. They're like, the invention of movies is a thing that happens in Korra, and like Bolin's all like, oh yeah, he's a mover star. I was like, I like Bolin, but I kind of thought that was a bit dumb. Like, really? I like Bolin because generally he's a more better written character than some of the other characters, especially compared to the character like Mako. He didn't really have a ton of love, triangle, romance, drama going on, but despite that, I feel like the plotline surrounding Bolin, especially like in like Season 2 and stuff, it's like not something I could take seriously. Like more of a joke plot. And like, I know, like, oh yeah, Bolin's the comic relief character, the way Sokka was. But any plotline involving Sokka was still serious. He didn't have his own plotline that felt dumb. He just had like dumb jokes and moments. So like, I don't know. I guess this is more of a personal preference thing rather than a writing issue thing. I didn't really like the whole mover star thing for Bolin. Especially when there's a whole freaking civil war going on. Like, I know he's not a part of the Water Tribe, but he was, you know, Korra's his friend, and he was still, like, involved in all that. So, yeah. Unless this was a season 1 thing, I'm just forgetting. I'm pretty sure this was season 2, though. Airbending has a lot of versatility. Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it, yeah. Now let's see, there was one more con I had. Oh yeah! The biggest con I had regarding season 2 was how the connection to past avatars was severed. There's a part of the show where Rava is ripped out of Korra, and Unalaq is just beating Rava, punching her over and over, and Korra can like feel it severing the connection to past avatars. And like, she's able to get Rava back, but she can't contact her past lives anymore. Any of them. Not even Aang, who was like the previous avatar just before her. She's not able to do it anymore. And like, when I watched that, I thought like, okay, it's gonna be this thing where like, she can't contact them for a while, but then some meditation spirit world avatar thing will happen later and she'll be able to contact them again, right? Wrong! She just never got the ability back throughout the rest of the show. Actually, that's a major con I have regarding the rest of the show in general, is that they had this huge moment happen where she can't contact the Avatar past lives anymore. And it's like, you could have gone into that. I feel like that plot point was kind of ignored after it happened. Like, oh, I can't contact my past lives anymore. And that's just it. Like, I like season 3. Season 3 was real good, real strong. I liked season 3, so don't get me wrong. But the fact that season 3 and 4 did not touch on the loss of this connection at all, really, was just... It felt like this is a sad, tragic thing that happened for no reason. It happened with no real consequence. And, like, why did it have to happen? Because it's horrible? Because it's tragic? Because it would get a reaction from the viewer? It didn't really have much of a consequence on the characters at all. Korra should have been devastated if she couldn't contact her past lives anymore. Instead, she was kind of sad and just kind of got over it. Kind of sad for like that episode. And then poof, problem gone. I'm not going to think about it anymore. It's like, why? That was a major plot point. Major plot point there. One of the biggest things in all of Korra. And it just gets swept under the rug? The animation for season 2 is nice. I do remember there being like some scene somewhere in... Oh no, I'm thinking of season 3. There was a scene in Korra, like a fight scene. The animation was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. I can't remember what scene it was specifically, but it was fantastic. So props for that. Animators did absolutely amazing. Yeah, I guess one thing that Korra did really well was like certain scenes were animated absolutely amazingly. Maybe he got Stockholm Syndrome. Well, if he did, that came on pretty quick. Fear is a powerful Afro-City. What? No! No! Hi, Panga. Guys either love or have nightmares of crazy girls. No in between. I guess... Wait, that's not true. Why am I saying I guess to that? I have never seen this show, but all I know is that people simp over Korra. Really? I've seen only the opposite. I've seen people hate on Korra. Well, I mean, I've seen some people that like Korra, but I wouldn't say I've seen anyone simp for Korra. I guess I'm just not in the right circles for that. Sadly, a lot of good plot points get thrown to the side a lot. Yes, I hate that. And I hate this. And like, season 3 had a pretty major plot point. What I liked was that it actually delved into that. It even extended into like the villains and stuff. And whoever's seen Korra, if anyone's gotten this far in season 3, you know what I'm talking about. But like, yeah, the connection to the past avatars, I don't understand why that had to happen. It's sad, and like I said, has no consequence in the show after that. Like, oh yeah, she can't talk to him anymore. Okay, I'll continue the show now. Like, that's what it was like. Like, why would you do that, animators? Well, not animators, I guess not the script writers, story writers, why would you do that? And romance keeps getting put into place. I know! Okay, like, okay. Everybody loves a good romance subplot. Everybody loves it when it's done well. But hey, keywords there, when it's done well! People like Aang and Katara because they're consistent and it's not rushed. Even though they have their first kiss in season 2, you know, like pretty early on in season 2, which people would say is pretty early, their relationship was still fantastically written. It did not rush it at all. It was great. That's why people like them. But if you got some poorly written trash fire of a romance, no one's gonna like that. Who said anything about personality? They simp for body. I guess if you're talking appearance alone, Korra is a pretty well-designed character. So I can give Korra some props for that. She's a pretty cute character. Design, you know, alone. And again, I don't really have anything against her personality either. It's really just the writing for certain things. Like the love triangle with Mako and Asami. Again, if it had taken its time and properly introduced relationships and properly took the time to develop the relationships, I don't think people would have cared so much. This could have been a really good like plot point down the road. It still would have been, you know, relationship drama. It still would have been that, but it at least would have been well written relationship drama. Maybe people only find she's pretty and never watch, like me. Well, if you're a fan of Avatar, I still do recommend watching Korra for certain plot points and stuff that happen. But I just, yeah, it's not a masterpiece. I mean, I never would have expected Korra to be a masterpiece anyway, because it's, if you've got something that's that good that people think it's a masterpiece, it's hard to write something else that'll, like, you know, that's of a similar level at all, let alone the same level. It's very hard to make something that matches that quality. But there are just some little itsy-bitsy writing things that could have been changed to make Korra so much better than it was. You know, it wouldn't have been perfect, but it would have been much better. And that's my problem with Korra. Okay, but yeah, I don't believe I have anything else to discuss about Season 2. So, hey, Season 3 time! Now, like I said, I actually really liked Season 3. Season 3 overall was a pretty well-written season, especially considering for Korra. At the beginning of Season 3, Aang's son, Bumi, who was previously a non-bender, suddenly discovers he can airbend. And then they start hearing stories all over the world. People are suddenly having airbending. Airbenders have returned. It's like, as a result of harmonic convergence, which happened again at the end of Season 2, I think I forgot to mention that. It was like this big whole event. But when that happened, it like restored balance and brought airbenders back. I loved that. And like the start of the series, it's like, yeah, Tenzin and Korra and friends, they all set out to find these airbenders and they're gonna rebuild the airbender nation. And yeah, that's what Season 3 was about. Like, they start rebuilding, they're teaching people airbending, they're in the temples, and like there's conflict between Bumi and Tenzin as far as like how teaching airbending goes. I like that, consistent. But then there's also this bad guy who's in jail, Zahir. He was real bad, and he was a part of the group. The Red Lotus, that's what they call themselves. They were real bad in the past, and they all got locked away in real tough to break out of prisons. Different ones. And since Zahir is one of the people who was randomly gifted airbending, so that he uses that to escape, and then uses the airbending to break his buddies out. And these people, they don't like authority. They have a problem with authority, so they're gonna take out world leaders, and then their eventual plot that leads to them trying to kill the Avatar in order for people to truly be free. It's a really good plot, because you can totally see where they're coming from. Even with what they're doing is not right, killing world leaders and stuff, you can kind of see where they're coming from. Like, some people are corrupt, and like if you If you believe someone has authority over you, if you believe that your freedom could potentially be under threat at some point, are you really free? It's this really good idea in philosophy. Season 3 has serious props for that one. That was one of the best things about Season 3. I like that. The villains were really cool too. Like the waterbender girl, she had no arms, so she would waterbend water out of her arm sockets to be her arms. And she could swing around using her waterbender powers like Spider-Man. I thought she was really cool. Let's see, another keyword, subplot. That means not having it every other scene. Preach, Marty. Good point. Yes, subplot. Unless your show is romance, the romance should not be front and center, you know? That's for the romance shows, which Avatar is not. Avatar has some real nice romantic scenes and stuff. I was gonna say Korra does too. Honestly, nah, anything Korra had that was romantic was kind of a dumpster fire. Sorry, not sorry. There's not a single ship. Well, I thought Jinora and Kai, starting in Season 3, was kind of cute. And, Bolin's girlfriend who becomes an airbender. Not the Eska girl that he was scared of. He ends up getting a different girlfriend. Someone who was gifted airbender powers. I thought that was cute. You know, Bolin and her. And then I guess Varric. There was a guy in Season 1. I didn't mention it all. He's actually pretty prevalent throughout the show. But this guy, Varric, and his assistant. What was her name? It's like Ju something. Julie? Well, they end up getting married at the end of the show, so I thought that was pretty cute too. But like, these are all like more minor relationships that don't happen until like later down the road. Any of the major relationships and anything that happens in the beginning, it's all trash. And even these things, they're not like masterpieces either. Like the Varric one's pretty rushed too. I just thought it was cute because of like their dynamic later in the show and stuff. I thought it was cute, but that doesn't mean it was good. So like Korra doesn't really have a lot of good romantic content at all. I mean, like the Last Airbender, it had Aang and Katara, it had Sokka and his girlfriends. Whether you want to be sad about it or happy, depending on which girl you're talking about. Like Zuko and Mai. It had a lot of good romantic subplots. And then Korra's like the exact opposite. Personally, I don't like love triangles. Fangs will never accept the official couple choice. Honestly, I agree with you there. I'm not generally a fan of love triangles. There are some exceptions, but generally, it's a no. Like, there's a love triangle in Siren's Lament. I think that one's great. And then, if the love triangle exists for like plot reasons, that too, that's also great. Of course, love triangles don't usually have some plot related reason as to why they're there. But if they did, I'd be cool with that. You know, it has a reason for being here. It's a reason that it is the way that it is. Woohoo! And like, that's why it was good in Siren's Lament. It actually was kind of plot related. I'm not gonna get into Siren's Lament though, because it's not what this stream is about. But you know, just as an example of a love triangle I did like, it's Siren's Lament is a love-toon. Love-toon? What? Webtoon? Start a webtoon app. It's called Love-toon. Just all romance. Yeah, it was a webtoon. But yeah, so like, the love triangle in Korra though, complete dumpster fire. And like Mako, oh my god, Mako, going back and forth between the girls. It's Asami, nope, it's Korra, nope, it's Asami, nope, it's Korra, nope. And he ends up with neither of them because he's a jerk face and can't make up his mind, and he ends up playing them both and just In my stories, I took off all love triangles or character cusses unless they end together because fans are a pain. Well, characters having crushes on each other is a bad thing. Like sometimes that's just how real life is. Even sometimes people have crushes on each other and they don't get together. That's just how it is. Just how it is in general. So like, I don't think that's a bad thing. But again, it depends. The crush has to make sense. Like Korra liking Mako. Again, not against that. But I'm against it when she likes him 2 episodes after disliking him. Well, I sadly gotta head off for now, but keep the good rant going. Show them who's boss. Good luck and talk with you later. Bye, Panga. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate your support. Season 3 was really focused on the main point, and the inclusion of airbending added a lot to it. Season 3 was really great with everything, feeling like it's starting to roll. Yes, Season 3 was probably the best written season. In my opinion, Season 3 was probably my favorite season of Korra. Because it stayed focused on the plot. The inclusion, like airbenders and all that, the villains, it was all great all the way through. And then, yeah, there's that whole part where Korra is getting tortured at the end with poison. What a great, fantastic scene! Oh, and then Bolin, who was struggling to learn metal bending, ending up getting magma bending by the end of it. Magma bending! I know it's pronounced magma, I pronounce it magma. That's just a personal thing. But like, magma bending, we hadn't seen that at all in the original series. And then like that's something earthbenders can do, and the fact that Bolin can do it. Like, I thought the show was gonna pull, oh, you can't do it, but then hey, when you're really in danger, that's when you're gonna be able to learn metal bending, Bolin. Don't worry, stick at it, and eventually you'll get there. That's what I thought the show was gonna do. But instead, no, he learned magma bending. Like, it came out of nowhere, he learned how to do it. It still was this, when you're in danger, you'll learn how to do it. I got that right, but it wasn't the metal bending. I actually like that. Show managed to surprise me. Like, I see these tropes a lot, all the time. And, like, yeah, I was watching Owl House this morning. And, yeah, I managed to predict something extremely early on, and guess what? I was right. You know, when you watch a lot of TV shows, when you read a bunch of books, you pick up on these tropes. So, I give Season 3 props as well for managing to surprise me. Now, let's see. Cons about Season 3. I don't have many. Actually, I don't really have that many at all, really. I guess the only thing I didn't really like about Season 3, Combustion Lady. I like Combustion Man from the original series. For some reason, I did not like Combustion Lady, though. There's not really anything wrong with her. She's a part of the villain group, for you guys who were wondering. The villain group was comprised of 4 villains. Zahir was the main one, the dude who learned airbending. Then there was the lady with the water arms. There was a dude who could magma bend. He was the main magma bender in the season before Bolin managed to learn it. And then there was this lady who was romantically involved with Zahir. She was like Combustion Lady. She had the tattoo on her forehead and had the exact same abilities that Combustion Man has, where she can make explosions with her mind. I guess I just kind of felt like she's kind of a ripoff of Combustion Man. I was like, there's not really anything wrong with her. This is a personal thing. She was a pretty good character. But, yeah, I guess that's really the only con I can think of. Season 3 was honestly pretty good. Oh, and then, oh my god, the deaths in Season 3. They were actually pretty brutal for, like, Avatar. Combustion Lady, I was so surprised when I saw her death. It's like, one of the metal bending characters throws a plate of metal at her head. Like, she's about to kill Korra, I think, with an explosion. Like, Korra can't get away. She's about to kill her with an explosion. This metal bending character, I can't remember who it was for sure. I think it was one of Top's daughters. But throws metal at Combustion Lady's head. It wraps around her head. And she launches the explosion within the metal and kills herself with her own explosion. I was just like, oh my god, that's pretty brutal. Brutal for Avatar. Like, what the heck? It was awesome. It was epic. It was just so surprising. I did not see that coming. Like, and then, the other one, like, I forgot to mention, there were episodes involving going to Ba Sing Se. There was a whole plot thing in season 3 where there were airbenders in Ba Sing Se, but they were being imprisoned and, like, indoctrinated into the Earth Queen's army. So they had to go save from the Earth Queen and stuff. And there's this plot point where Zahir is like, hey dude, you know, Earth Queen, if you help us find the Avatar, I'll get you your airbenders back. But, you know, of course, Zahir doesn't really respect authority, so, he ends up killing her. He kills her, he suffocates her, he like, pulls any air out of her lungs, and then makes it so she can't get any oxygen. Until she just dies. Like, I didn't like the Earth Queen because she's corrupt and evil, and she's just not the kind of character that I like. But man, I kind of felt bad for her. Could you imagine being killed that way? Could you imagine? Brutal, man. Yeah, the magma bending was a nice surprise. It was! As well as these deaths. Dang, bro! Like, not even Avatar was that brutal. I mean, the original. I keep saying Avatar. This is technically Avatar 2. Oh, what? Isn't this a kid show? Damn. It is. It is a kid show. Like, Last Airbender wasn't even this bad, but, like... It's not like it's graphic or anything. It's not like there's blood and guts spraying everywhere. Like, no, not like that. But just knowing what happened and seeing it happen. And Combustion Ladies, it was so sudden. On the screen, she dead, bro. Like with the Earth Queens, it's kind of this thing where Zahir's kind of monologuing to her. So you can see she's dying. You know she's going to. And you're kind of like, oh my god, as you're watching. But when Combustion Lady died with a metal going around her head, no, that was like a sudden thing. It's there, it happened, it's done, it's gone. And you're just like, what? I can't believe that just happened. Why am I sad? I'm meant to be shocked. I can't believe that just happened. It's more of a teen show. Yeah, I guess teen is more accurate. Not really kid. You know, it's not like strawberry shortcake with strawberry bending powers. That's definitely an she did moment. I know, right? Like, okay, I know Korra's not the best overall, but season 3, my man, season 3 was the bomb. Still not as good as the Last Airbender seasons, but I liked season 3. It was really good, especially considering what the quality of their series were, seasons were for Korra. Okay, so I don't think I have anything else to go off of for season 3. Now there's season 4. Season 4, man. So, season 4 is after Zahir and his gang had been imprisoned. Important thing that happened, like that torture scene that I mentioned around the end of season 3, it has some impact on season 4. Korra was poisoned and almost killed. She had the poison, metal bent out of her because it was like a metal-based poison. So she thinks she was fine. No, she was like, well, she was really badly hurt. She was traumatized. She had to be like rehabilitated. So season 4 begins. She hadn't been out with her friends for months. Season 4 takes place months after season 3. And she'd been at home, rehabilitating for a long time. Her friends had been sending her letters, but the only one she wrote back to was Asami. She felt like she had failed her people. And, like, yeah, people had to deal with her problems without her for a long time. Like, she felt she was failing as the Avatar. So she ends up going out and finding Toph and, like, learning from her. And, well, not really learning. Toph didn't really want to be her teacher. But she finds Toph, gets the more metal bent out of her. Because apparently her daughter didn't do the best job and didn't get all of it. Korra kind of has her own plot going on there. And meanwhile, the overarching plot with everybody else, Bolin had joined, this lady's force, like Kuvera. Her name is Kuvera, and she's the villain for season 4. She's like in Earth Kingdom general. I don't know if general is the right word. She's in a position of authority. They're going around and they're trying to rebuild the Earth Empire after the Earth Queen's death. They're uniting it, like all under one empire. So she's essentially going around and like, yeah, bringing these little villages, towns, and cities into the empire. And a lot of people think she's doing good. And honestly, for a while, I could see her point. Unified, the Earth Kingdom could be strengthened. And they wouldn't be, like, weak or subject to attack. I can't really remember a lot of Kuvira's reasoning, but I remember it was okay. I did not like Kuvira, though. Like, I said I wasn't a big fan of Unalak. I'm an even worse fan of Kuvira. I didn't like either of them. Kuvira is the type of character where she has decent intentions throughout the show, but then near the end goes power crazy and is just trying to destroy Republic City. So yeah. In the end, well, not in the end, but like the show kind of becomes this whole thing, like, stop Kuvira. She has this plot to destroy Republic City. If they won't join under her, she's gonna try to take over the whole world, all that. It kind of became cliche, so I didn't really like that very much. The giant mecha, the giant platinum mecha. She had a giant mecha, a mecha in the Avatar universe. It felt kind of out of place. I didn't like the mecha. I know I'm supposed to start with pros, but honestly, I can't remember a lot of pros for season 4. It wasn't my favorite season. Like, Bolin ran into issues with his girlfriend, so that was sad. Korra was depressed and on her own, and that was sad. Kuvira is a big old bag of poop, and that was sad. God, there's even this scene where, like, they captured her husband to try to get information out of him. How do you take down the platinum robot? And he was like, she wouldn't destroy the city while I'm over here. She's not gonna do it. Nope. She tried to. Like, the robot has this giant laser attack that could destroy buildings. And he thought she wouldn't launch it while he was in the city. She totally did. She tried to. She almost killed her own fiance. Season 3 was peak for Korra. Yeah. Season 3 was the best. Season 4 wasn't bad, but it was not my favorite at all. I didn't really like it. I guess I blocked out a lot of season 4. The technology advances in Korra were unnecessary. Yes. God. I was like, I don't really like the technology advances throughout all of Korra because it changed the vibe of the show. It changes the whole feel. Korra has a completely different feel to it than, like, the Last Airbender does. But, like, I could have been fine with, like, the invention of cars, the invention of movies, whatever. I could have been okay with that. But the giant mecha? Really? Really? There wasn't even a mecha in the other seasons of this show. It's just season 4. It's just, why? Yeah, the whole season was about taking down Kuvira, pretty much. If there was more going on, I don't remember it. It did not stick out in my mind. I can't really comment on much of season 4. I remember very few scenes of season 4. And then, oh yeah, the end of season 4, it's implied that, that Korra and Asami get together. And I know they do, because they do in the comics. They end up going on a vacation at the very end. I was actually kind of sad that I didn't get to see the relationship. All these years, I heard that Korra and Asami, both of Mako's girlfriends, end up getting together. And I was like looking forward, like, you know, when does the Korra Asami content come into the show? Only for me to realize it doesn't. They get together in the comics following the show, but you don't actually get to see it in the show. I felt like I'd been lied to. I was waiting for the girls love content that whole time, and I didn't get to see it at all. Like, what is this crap? I watched watch it solely for gay content, but I was wanting to see like how they handled that, especially considering that was probably the one romance that was not rushed. Well, I can't speak for how it's written in the comics because I have not read the comics. But as far as like setting it up throughout the show, they were friends for a good long while. I guess I would have liked some more foreshadowing if I had to make a complaint. But hey, considering how horribly rushed the rest of the romances were, I'll give it some points for this one being one that was not rushed. They were friends for a good long while before they ever got into anything romantic, so I'll take it, I guess. Sorry you had to help clean stuff? No, you don't have to be sorry. Don't ever apologize for having to step away. What about the romance? Can't have a single season of Korra without romance. Well, actually, that's another reason why I like season 3 so much. It didn't have romance. Like, okay, yeah, Janora and Kai kind of liked each other. And, like, Bolin found that girl he became, you know, an item with. But, hey, that was actually treated like the subplot that it was. And was not in your face. And, hey, it was great. If only all of Korra could have been like that. If all of Korra had been the quality that season 3 was, the whole show would have been so much better. Whole show. Rune got baited. That's what you get. That's what I get for what? I didn't do anything to deserve not getting my proper gay content. Okay, yeah. I know I didn't have much to say on season 4, but it's like I'm trying to remember. I really can't remember a lot. Oh no! Wait, I just remembered. The moment when Asami's dad sacrifices himself to help them get inside the Platinum Mecha. So like this is something I forgot to comment on altogether. But in season 1, Asami's dad was arrested for making weapons for the Equalists. Asami's dad was working for the Equalists. I think like firebenders had taken his wife away or something. His wife was killed by a bender, so he had this grudge against benders. So he got arrested in season 1. And throughout the next 2 seasons, Asami was mad at her father, eventually visiting him, but for a while having no contact. So like, yeah, they kind of had this whole plot, like slowly reconnecting. They played Pai Sho in jail. It was all sweet seeing the way they reconnected. And then at the very end, her father was trying to help them get inside the giant platinum mecha because you can't metal bend platinum. It's like the ultimate metal. It can't be bent. And he ends up sacrificing himself to get them inside. He died. I was so sad. No. And again, I think the fact that I get more invested in all these minor characters is kind of says a lot about Korra. I forgot all about that until now. I'm happy I remembered that so I could comment on it. It's like, if I remembered about Hasami's dad's death after I ended the stream, I would have been like, God dang it, I forgot to comment on her dad's death! F in the chat for dad. F. So sad. But yeah, I don't have much to say on season 4. And like, that's all the seasons. So, let's see. Do I have anything to say about the series overall? Well, let's see. My favorite characters throughout the show. Like I said, I liked Boomy. I liked Tenzin. I wasn't as big a fan of Kaya, but, you know, Kaya's not a bad character. It's just a personal thing. Personal preference. But I really liked Boomy and Tenzin. Especially Boomy. He's really funny. I liked... Oh my god. There's a cameo of Zhao in one of the seasons. Season 2? Because there are episodes where Denora gets lost in the spirit realm. And they have to go find her. Like Tenzin and his siblings go to find her. There's a cameo of Zhao the Conqueror from the first season of the original series. And I was like, Oh my god, they brought back Zhao. I couldn't believe they brought back Zhao! Zhao of all characters! Well, I guess he was a major character for that first season. Well, I was so surprised. Like, I was so entertained by the idea that they brought him back. Like, what the heck? Rip Hiroshi and his flight suit. Hiroshi. I remember the flight suit getting messed up. The name Hiroshi is throwing me off though. I've forgotten. I blocked so much of Korra out. The flight suit though, no. Wait, was Hiroshi the name of her dad? Is that his name? But yeah, I like that they brought that back. Yeah, like I liked Tenzin. I liked Boomy. I liked like old lady Toph. The fact that they brought Toph back. I had for a long time. I'd actually thought that Katara was the only one in the group who was alive. I didn't know that Toph and Zuko were still around. I thought they'd all died. But then no, Toph and Zuko are still in the show. They're really old, but they're still in the show. So it's just Aang and Sokka that aren't around anymore. I guess okay, well, I thought of another point I want to go into, but I should finish listing off the characters that I like before I go into any other characters. So any character named Kaya you dislike, I see how it is. I just didn't like Kaya as much, okay? Yes, he was the dad. Okay, thank you. I forgot what his name was. I just remembered Asami's dad. Okay, I liked Tenzin. I liked Boomy. I liked Jinora. I liked Kai too, once he was stopped being an annoying thief character. I liked Bolin, and again, I liked Mako, but just not as Korra's love interest. Any of the scenes were just him being a brother with his brother, just the brotherly dynamic. I liked that. That was good. That was well written. That was fine. Loved it. Varric was a pretty okay character. I thought he was kind of annoying in the first season because he had some like bad guy subplots going on. But after that, he was pretty funny. I liked Varric. Varric was cool. Who else did I like? Well, besides the villains, Amon and the Red Lotus, I liked them. General Iroh was pretty okay. What is he? Zuko's grandson? I think it's Zuko's grandson, right? They named Iroh. Like, I remember the first time he came into the show, I thought, man, his voice sounds exactly like Zuko's. Turns out they have the same voice actor. So Zuko and his grandson just straight up have the exact same voice. Do you think that Legend of Korra Aang would be called Boomerang? Maybe. That's a funny joke. Thank you for that. Does Zuko's uncle show up? Yes, actually. That's something that's actually a point I wanted to make. Iroh has several appearances throughout the show. I don't think he was in season 1 at all, but he was in season 2, and he had some appearances throughout the rest of the show as well. Cause he's passed away, but he was so spiritual that he lived in the spirit world. So Korra ran into him a good few times, as well as Jinora too, I believe. He's the best character from what I remember. Yeah, yes. Iroh is a total sweetheart. Well, there's two different Irohs, like, you know, there's Uncle Iroh, and then there's, Zuko's grandson. I'm getting the grandson part right? I couldn't remember if it was a grandson or it was some other relation. But, yeah. And, like, speaking of Iroh, one thing that I wished Korra had done, there is a scene later in the series where Korra is talking to Zuko, old man Zuko, and she mentioned that she's talked to Iroh, and Zuko's like, "You've spoken to my uncle?" It was like, he seemed so emotional and surprised by it. Like, clearly, Iroh probably passes away not too much longer after Last Airbender, if I had to guess. And so it's like, Zuko probably hasn't spoken to his uncle in forever. Well, in season 2, they opened the spirit portal so people could go freely between both worlds. Why didn't they include a scene where they take Zuko to see his uncle again? That would have been so emotional. That would have been so perfect. I actually wish they did that. I mean, they specifically made at a point that people could traverse between the spirit realms and the physical realms. There's absolutely no reason why Zuko couldn't have gone to meet his uncle. I'm sure he would have loved that. I could see the earlier seasons making that joke if the show was made in recent years. The boomerang joke. Oh, yeah. Maybe whatever Avatar content they're working on next will have a joke like that. Maybe. It would be really great. Oh yeah, I seriously wish they'd had Zuko meet Iroh. Like, why did you not do that? That would have been amazing. Okay, let's see. Any other thoughts I had regarding the show overall? I actually think that might be it. I think I've probably covered everything. Although, can I point out though how annoying it is that even after the Last Airbender, even after all the work Aang and his gang did, taking out the Dai Li are still corrupt in Korra? Am I the only one who's annoyed by that? Now, like, I know they didn't, like, take out the Dai Li, like, eliminate them entirely. But you'd think after years of, like, the Fire Lord being changed and, like, things changing, that the Dai Li would be reformed. Nope, the Dai Li are still corrupt in Korra. And I know it's because their queen is corrupt, so it makes sense. It's just annoying knowing that after knowing all the trouble they put Aang and his friends through in the first series. That would have been really nice for him and the fans. Right? Like, for as much as people don't really like Korra, if Zuko had gotten the chance to meet his uncle again, that just would have been a super memorable moment. Everyone would have thought was super emotional, and it would have been fantastic. Oh yeah, so generally my opinion of Korra is it's not great, but it's not terrible. It's okay. There's a lot of bad parts. There's a lot of things that could be improved, but not all of it was bad. Korra has some plot points and season 3 that are like just really fantastic. So I still think Korra is worth watching. If you're gonna watch Avatar, watch Korra for the good parts. I don't think it's, I don't think it's worth a rewatch the way The Last Airbender is. Like, I watched The Last Airbender for the first time when they put it on Netflix recently. I'm currently rewatching through it with some of my siblings. So, like, it's just, the original Avatar, amazing. Beautiful, fantastic work. Hardly anything wrong with it, to the point that people think it's an absolute masterpiece. It's just an amazing show. Totally worth a rewatch. Korra, though, like, yeah, watch it for the good stuff that happens, and I guess if you want to watch it again, it's up to you. Honestly, I think Korra deserves a reboot. I know a lot of reboots have been terrible, but, like, give the reboot to the right team. Have them reboot Korra. Keep the good parts. Fix the rest of it. It could be amazing. Just retcon the original series, act like the original didn't happen, reboot it, and then, hey, this is the new canon. That's what they should do with Korra. Yeah, 2-hour rant. That's all this has been. Yeah, I had fun talking about this though. My one regret is I feel like I was a little disorganized when I started talking about it, so I apologize for the stream being a little disorganized at certain parts. Were there only 3 seasons? No, the original Avatar only had 3 seasons. They were gonna do 4, but I can't remember why they decided just to do 3. But for Korra, they actually did do 4 seasons. I just didn't have much to say on the 4th season because I can't remember a lot of it. I know, I really should have rewatched Korra to have it like fresh in my mind, but I definitely went over everything that I really wanted to go over. Would not recommend watching Korra by itself. The original is good, and then Korra for the good bits. Yes, please don't start with Korra. Like, if you're gonna watch it, watch the original Last Airbender first. if you watch Korra first, it's probably just gonna ruin your opinion of the Avatar franchise entirely. You certainly could watch Korra by itself, I think. Yeah, it's standalone enough that you could watch it by itself. But because the writing is so poor, like, no. Definitely start with the original series, okay? Besides, some stuff that happens in Korra will only have that emotional impact if you've seen the original series. Like when the Airbenders come back. That's a huge, impactful moment for everybody who's watched the original series because they know how sad the characters were, that the Airbenders were wiped out. They know how big of a deal it was for Aang to, like, it was his dream to rebuild the Air Nation, and he died before he could ever see that happen. So, like, seeing Airbenders return, that's some super huge emotional moment. And, like, if you watch Korra first and you see that moment without knowing the history behind it, it's just not as good. It's not the same at all. It's so cheap. But yeah, I believe that's all I have to say on Korra. And, yeah, like, I apologize once again for my thoughts being a bit disorganized around the beginning. I think we did good picking it up, though. Like, if you're gonna get me to rant, I have to be in the good ranting mood. I was gonna, like, watch Korra videos on YouTube to, like, amp up my Korra rant before I got in here, but I didn't really have that much time to do it. I ended up watching a Buff Pup stream instead. I got lazy. Somebody bonk me on the head. I've been lazy. I've been bad. Bad girl. But I do believe I covered everything I really wanted to cover. I just hope I don't, like, turn off the stream and then 2 hours later I remember something else and I'm like, dang, why didn't I talk about that? But I think for our first review stream, we did pretty good. I'd like to think I think I did pretty good. What do you guys think? Was this a fun stream? Did you guys enjoy the stream? Did you guys enjoy the 2-hour Korra rant? Season 1 is a deep rant pit for people. Well, I totally get it. Like, Season 1 was the most rushed. The Equalist plot was rushed. Equalist plot was the best thing from that season. Even that was still rushed to an extent. That was rushed. The romance was rushed. Korra learning the elements was rushed. The pro-bending stuff was rushed. Her being stressed out with airbending and getting into pro-bending was rushed. It was fun. I learned some of the story. I still highly recommend sitting down, watching Avatar, watching Korra for yourself. But I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the review. Like, if I were to put it in the numbers, I give Korra, let's see, maybe a 4.5 out of 10. Maybe a 5 out of 10. I think that's high enough to cover, like, the good bits, but, like, it doesn't get a high score for me because of its writing issues and because it severed the connection to past lives and never recovered it. And, like, I could have forgiven it if it had good plot consequences afterwards, but no, they didn't. That's the thing I hate the most about Korra, and I'll never forgive them for doing that. You enjoyed the 2-hour rant a lot. I'm glad to hear that. Legend of Korra, how not to rush narrative plot lines. Exactly. Like, hand the manuscript over to me. Ruin Bandura knows how to fix a plot line. I can fix it for you. Like, I'm trying to think, like, how would I fix Korra? If Korra had been my creation, how would I have done it? Well, I definitely would, like I said, would have had her go on her Avatar journey. I would have expanded the Equalist plot. Have them, like, actually do some damage, because I hate the fact that everything the Equalist did was so easily reversible. Like when Unalaq was the villain, even if they managed to stop Vatu in the end, even if they, like, arrested Unalaq, well, or that already died. I can't remember what happened to Unalaq. Even though they took him down, though, that season ended, like, because of the actions of Unalaq. the physical and spiritual worlds ended up becoming one again. And they had to learn how to live with spirits, and it gave everybody airbending again. So, like, stuff that Unalaq did had lasting consequences on the world. And then the stuff with, like, Zahir and his group. He killed the Earth Queen. He traumatized Korra. There were effects from their group that lasted, it extended into the 4th season. But, like, Amon, everything Amon did was so easily reversible. Nothing Amon did actually extended into future seasons. And Amon was a cool villain. He could have been so much better. Honestly, I think your villain plot is not a good one if it can be so easily fixed like that. I mean, it was good, but it was also bad for that reason. Have her care about her powers and her position as the Avatar. Yes! Like, I think it's a stretch to say that Korra didn't care about her position as the Avatar. She cared for a lot of the show. Like, certainly when she couldn't defeat Zahir, she felt like she failed as the Avatar. And she felt like, as the Avatar, it was her duty to settle the Civil War in Season 2. It was her duty to protect the people. It was her duty to properly introduce the spirit world into the human world when the worlds were connected. So, like, she cared about her position as the Avatar, except for when she needed to learn airbending. But I guess in her defense, again, there wasn't really any serious plot going on at the time. So while she really needed to learn airbending for the Avatar, there wasn't any real push for it at the time. The Equalist didn't come in until after she was already into pro bending. So I can see why she didn't feel like she needed to in that moment. Again, my main issue is that it was too quick of a transition. There should have been some dialogue saying yeah, while I know airbending is very important, while I know it's super important for me to learn this, I just need to take a break. I'm frustrated. I need a quick break. I like pro bending. I want to go see the pro bending match. If she had worded it like that, if it had put more emphasis on it just being a quick break, and not like a complete swap of interest like it looked in the show, that would have been a lot better. You wouldn't even have needed to change much. Just change the script. Maybe add just a few seconds of screen time for the dialogue to be in there. There you go. Then you could continue on with the plot the way it was. At least as far as the pro bending stuff went. At least as far as that transition, you know? Would have been so much better. Well, yeah. I believe that's all I have to say on Korra for now. So, thank you everybody for watching. Again, I'm going to be having a stream on Twitch here in just a few hours. We're going to play more Skyward Sword, so I'm looking for that. Looking forward to that. I'm looking for that. Just looking for my Skyward Sword game. Looking for my stream. Yeah, I can't talk today. I had so many speech errors over the course of the stream. Oh yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to try to have another video out on YouTube soon. Either when I get a good idea or when I finish something so I can review it. Let's rant about something else. Let's rant about Skyward Sword till we finish it. Oh yeah, so that's all I have to say today. So, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys for the next stream. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You guys have a great night, okay? Okay? If you don't have a great night, I will never forgive you.